Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and this is going to be about reading. I'll do another video talking about YouTube channels that I learned about investing from, but this one is about reading, and it's going to be a short video because it's basically just one book. Although I'm very, very excited, I just got a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, like the actual newspaper, not the blog or whatever. I don't even know how that works. Like, do they mail it to me and I get it like 2 days later? Anyway, I was on a flight a month or so ago, and somebody left the Wall Street Journal in the back of the seat in front of me. And I read the whole thing, and it was kind of mind-blowing because, first of all, it's not a very long paper. I remember back in the day where reading the paper would take you like an hour. I mean, if you skip around, you can get through the crucial articles in 15 minutes or so. But what I really liked is the idea of seeing all the connections between a lot of different things, seeing how different sectors are rising as others are falling, and trends and stuff like that. And I really took a mental note that I should, a month and a half later, get a subscription to it. But we're mainly going to talk about one book called Financial Freedom by Grant Sabatier. If I remember correctly, it was like way back in the day when I was first trying to get into investing. I was just Googling like literally just investing, just the word investing. And this came up on, I'm not sure if it was like a sponsored ad, but it was something. He was being interviewed on like NBC or something like that. And he's like, this guy became a millionaire by the time he was 30. Now, I'm going to cut to the chase. He bought a bunch of really, really, really good stocks right when they started. We're talking Facebook, Amazon, Google. So he doesn't mention that at the beginning. He mentions that in like the last chapter. So he was a millionaire by the age of 30. By my calculation, he would have been worth about $350,000 by 30 if he wouldn't have bought these crucial stocks. But it was a real eye-opener for me. I read the thing, voraciously, loaned it out, never got it back. So that's a good review right there. Enthusiastically read, enthusiastically recommended, and I never got the book back. But what he talks about is he's kind of like a regular guy, if I remember, from Chicago. He wanted to, got out of college. It was right during the recession of like 10 years ago. Tried a couple things, was broke, living with his parents, despairing, and then he just started working. And I know you're waiting for like the magical twist, but he just works a lot and saves a lot. So one of his main things is side hustles. So you have a regular job, but then you got friends. I mean, the side hustles are kind of dumb. It's doing websites for friends, dog sitting. His point is that the more money you can put away and invest and put into anything that gets some sort of compound interest, over the years, that's going to make you a millionaire. Now, he got to skip to the head of the line probably about 10 years early because of his investments. And I'll do a whole nother video about the magic of compound interest. It's insane. Oh my gosh. I mean, technically, I kind of found out about it, quote, too late. I mean, when you're in your mid-40s, you're on the bubble for it being too late. I remember watching this video with Grant Cardone, and he was doing like a pep talk in the office. He's a real estate guy and does a lot of financial advice, stuff like that. And he was letting everyone, all the type A people there ask questions. And it was like a guy in his 20s, 30s, 40s, and finally he got to some guy who was like 51. He's like, Grant, I'm 51 and I got no savings. What should I do? And you just look at Grant and like all the blood like went out of his face. He's like, he rambled some answer, but just the look on his face and then the employee's face, it's like, yeah, magic, wishing, I don't know, prayer. But luckily I found out about it just in time that I could get some out of that. Most of my stuff is, I actually make money. That's one of the things that people kind of, Andre Jick is honest about that. He's like, I make a lot from YouTube revenue, so I'm able to invest a lot. But even if you can't invest a lot, you can always invest more than you thought you could. I might make a whole video about this, but during the recession, out of the army, very poor, and the local grocery store had like kind of in this middle, this long row of chicken. And I used to get the good chicken. And as my financial fortunes dwindled, I kept moving to the right, and that was like the cheaper chicken. The thing is, like, I never got all the way to the end. And I always said to myself, there's always a cheaper brand of chicken. So basically, he's going to explain compound interest, SEP IRAs, 401ks, Roth IRAs. He's really good at stuff like that. All that stuff is basic. I can do an individual video on each one of those subjects later. But I would definitely 100% recommend buying this book, with the understanding that it's not really about becoming a millionaire by the age of 30. It's more about doing it by 40, 45, 50. If you start in your 20s, 30s. If your 40s, good enough at 60s that you're not eating cat food, you're doing good. You're doing solid. You can go, they got, man, I see, I'm now old enough that I get these advertisements for retirement communities overseas. And I mean, I think that's going to be the wave of the future. There's countries like Portugal, you know, they just have a bunch of coastline, and then they kind of have a bunch of arid areas where nobody lives. So they're just building all these, like, and it's not old folks' homes. Like, it's nice. Like, nice. It's basically like you're on a vacation. But getting back to Grant Sabatier, I would say he's a slightly smarter. He's pretty average in intelligence, it seems. That's not an insult. I'm not like George Carlin where I'm saying average is dumb. I'm saying average. Like, he's not a genius. But he is good at explaining things very plainly. So on a couple of plane trips, I read like the entire book. The main thing I gleaned from it is time is going to be your best friend. Compound interest is going to be your best friend. Getting into tax advantage investment. And there's different types. There's the types where you pay the tax on the front end, on the back end, and then you got the Roth IRA, which every time I talk to my friends and they haven't maxed it out for the year, it's a problem. I get some people who they'll get like within $400 of maxing it out, and then they don't. And I'm literally having to like send them screenshots of like, this is that $400 over the next 35 years and what it turns into. Like, just put it in. Like, I literally be like, I will send you a check for $400. But like, they have the money. They just get lazy. I've had a friend where I had to remind him like every few weeks for like 4 months. Luckily, there was an extension on. This is the dog coming over here. She has no investments. But anyway, don't be like Luna. But the main gist of it is there's actually one book that can really, really get you there. This is not a paid endorsement. I don't even have a copy. I would really like it. I'm probably about to buy a second copy. But Financial Freedom by Grant Sabatier, especially at the end where he's got like the graphs of compound interest. I would say the best part for me, and he explains mutual funds and hedge funds and all those type of things. The best part for me was explaining all of the different types of retirement accounts, Roth IRA, then they have like the self-employed ones. Because what happened is one time I actually went to my the company where I have my account for investments, and they had like a physical place. So I went in there and I was asking all these basic questions, and that guy didn't know anything. Like, he didn't know anything. All he knew is they just rubber stamp like regular people with normie jobs and 401ks and just, put this here, put this there. But like, they couldn't like get me on a start to any kind of an education. They're just like, what's your employer? What's your social security? Like, they were just inputting stuff. Like, it was completely unnecessary. So I was very, very frustrated. I talked to friends who are not very good at explaining stuff. So I basically had one friend who was pretty good at explaining stuff, and then this book, and that's what got me there. And then once I got through this hurdle of not just freaking out when I would hear terms like, a hedge fund, I'm like, oh my God, what is that? That's insane. Mutual funds, that's crazy. Like, once I had like this really basic understanding, like a solid understanding, that's where I was able to go to YouTube and watch a bunch of channels that were, they're still pretty entry level, but they're more advanced. So Financial Freedom, Grant Sabatier. Buy it on Amazon. I think it's like $10, $15. So it is fantastic. Don't loan it out. If you have a friend, invite them there. It's like when you hear about movies like Tenet, where you have to like read the script in a room, and then they like check that you didn't like take a picture. Have them bring them over. They can read it on your couch. Don't let them take that book. It's a great book. And then the other one is Wall Street Journal. I just started, but I'm very, very excited about literally just reading one copy. You start to notice things like, you got the war here, and they got the oil and the oil price. That's real obvious stuff. But then you're talking about, different resources and in different places and the difficulties and the prices. Like, what I'm saying is, it's Wall Street Journal almost reads like everything's connected and they're just trying to give you all the pieces. It's like, okay, let's get them like 90% there, and then they can suddenly realize that the entire world economy is connected. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.